Welcome, everybody, to the Revival Motoring Podcast. As always, I'm joined by Chuck Hu,
Hello.
Corey.si,
Hello, hello.
and on the line, the direct line to the Revival Motoring studio, we have our good friend, Mr. Matt Isgro. Matt, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Happy. I wouldn't say you're exactly happy because I think you've become rather tickled in the wrong way with this K car situation in Massachusetts in particular. First off, can you tell us what kind of K vehicle you own and how long you've owned it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a 93 Suzuki Carry pickup truck. Um, I bought it back in November of last year. I was actually going to buy a dump bed Suzuki Carry from Pete, Ransom Pete, but he sold it before I actually got it. So I ended up buying one down in Connecticut and actually got it registered, titled, and everything back in November. Pretty easily, actually. One of the more simple experiences at the RMV I ever had. And I've had it and put probably about 1,200 miles on it since. So been using it pretty regularly.
What was your purpose with the vehicle?
A combination of things. I have a Land Rover 109 that I've been working on for going on 2.5 years now, and I'm a little antsy and wanted something fun around. Plus, I didn't have a pickup truck and wanted to be able to kind of go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot, pick up lumber. I've been doing a lot of projects around the house, so was really looking for something fun to just scoot around town in that was efficient, but also something I could throw stuff in the bed and not worry about beating up my daily.
And that seems to be working out pretty damn good for you up until I'd say the past month, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been awesome, and fortunately they haven't revoked my registration yet, so I'm still using it as I want. But I've been pretty frustrated and honestly kind of, I don't know if scared is the right word, but like worried about having my reg revoked. Especially since I've actually, even though they said they haven't done it yet, I actually talked to Ocean Honda down in Hanover a couple days ago, and they actually had the reg revoke a registration on an Acti they sold to a customer recently. So,
Wait, like a Honda dealer sold a Honda
yeah, Honda dealer. My in-laws live down in Hanover, and we happened to be down there over the weekend, and I was like, oh, they got a bunch of Actis and stuff on the lot. So I reached out to their email and be like, hey, if you haven't been in this conversation yet, I'd love for you to, as a business, to get involved to help us with this combo. And they responded to me, and actually they're already part of the Mass JDM Advocates group, and had actually filled me in on they had sold an Acti to a guy who was going to use it for his business, got it titled, got it registered, and then the state, after they were just about as they were going to deliver it, the state came in and told them they were revoking the reg and that they could not actually sell the vehicle.
Wow. Yeah. It doesn't feel very fair, does it?
No, especially since they were happy to take all my money back in November for tax, title, reg, all that, and had no hint of any changes coming down the road. Hasn't even been a year, and so for them to now start about facing without really even notifying us, trying to do it behind closed doors, was frankly really frustrating to me as someone who I love my state, but I'm pretty frustrated with how things are handled. I thought we were a relatively good car enthusiast state, but yeah, it's something that has frustrated me for quite a while. My wife's heard plenty from me about it recently too.
Sounds like seizure.
Yeah.
You've it's safe to say, since finding out about it, you've dove pretty deep into the details and kind of, your own time researching it.
I have, yeah. I was, when Pete kind of threw out on, I think it was Instagram, the Mass GDM Advocates group on Facebook, I joined up there and really started talking to that group. I've put a lot of effort into reaching out to my specific state representatives, who I've had some relatively good conversations with. I'm actually the one who reached out to the drive, which is probably why I was involved. My name was in the article. And so James reached out to me and reached out to the group about writing that article. Like I said, if I've seen opportunities, I've reached out to businesses too. So like I said, Ocean Honda in Hanover, I happen to see that, reached out to them. And honestly, I've been pretty persistent with my state reps too. Interestingly enough, I got a response from the district director for one of my state representatives today. And she pretty much was as honest as I've gotten from anyone and told me the RMV has told them they will not share information and that they should not expect to hear anything from the RMV to any reps anytime soon. And she recommended that I start pushing on the Joint Transportation Committee more, because they might get more leeway.
That's a pretty, for one, that's nice that she's being so transparent about that. Two, yikes. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of a bit of a, wow, the Iron Curtain comes down that quick, and this is just, don't give the people explanations. It's a bit of a,
Isn't the RMV accountable to the state reps? That's what happened in Rhode Island. That's how Rhode Island. I mean, we still have a
No.
shit deal, but they are not.
No, the Mass RMV is not elected officials and have the ability to make decisions separately from any legislation, et cetera. So I think the one thing that I think we're looking at, and I say we, the advocate group, is to really start pushing for either something on a ballot, which unfortunately we're coming up to the end of the legislative session. So we're in a weird spot right now, but either looking at a ballot initiative or getting one of the legislators who's more interested in helping us to get something onto into a vote next year for maybe get some legislation actually to go through, so we can actually hold the RMV accountable.
Yeah.
Because based on what I've seen, they don't have any accountability. And if anything, there's my opinion, a little bit of a conflict of interest, because some of them are on the groups making recommendations to get rid of compact vehicles like the Ks are on the board, and also the registrar for the RMV. So I feel like there's a bit of a conflict of interest on that front too.
Yeah, completely. It just, hey, let me think for you and we'll make the decisions on your behalf. Wait a second, I happen to be part of both of these organizations doing that.
Do they have an actual, Rhode Island didn't have a reason or a law they pointed to, which I think screwed them when the state reps kind of protected whoever owned them, but screwed you from ever registering one again. Do they reference anything, or they just willy-nilly no?
They, based on what I've seen, the internal memos that were leaked, they are pointing to NHTSA saying that they do not recommend these vehicles for road use because they do not meet the safety requirements that are put out there by NHTSA. But that's illogical in my opinion, given that these vehicles are imported legally through the NHTSA and are imported not as off-road vehicles, but as motor vehicles for road use. And also, given that they're all under the 25-year rule, they're not required to meet those safety regulations. And also, if you really want to get down to it, like, they've been talking about VIN number issues, but realistically, the 17-digit VIN doesn't matter, because 17-digit VINs didn't exist until 1981. So there's plenty of vehicles in the United States that were sold originally in the United States that do not even have 17-digit VINs. So there's a lot of faulty logic behind it.
Right.
But they're not pointing to a law. They're going off of, we can do this because we can utilize an opinion of what NHTSA has
and
said.
do they reference back to that AAMVA paper? That was a big one.
They have not specifically brought up the AAMVA. Too many acronyms. But
yeah, there are.
But what, in a lot of the research we've done, and I think James Gilboy from The Drive actually found it too, is there's very common things across memos that organization has put out. The state of Pennsylvania's list of things that fit under this ban matches exactly to what Mass is put out, and they're actually wrong because they're actually not K. Some of them are not even K vehicles.
Right.
And so there's a lot of things that are kind of intertwined across the various states where this has been happening that really do point back to the AAMVA.
So they're enforcing a rule without having a rule written.
Yes.
See, Rhode Island at least had a shitty rule.
And so, and in particular with this one, and credit to James and yourself, Matt, for kind of gathering all this stuff. One thing it cites on the article in The Drive is that I believe the NHTSA, again, acronyms, came out and said, no, this isn't us declaring this, because our rule is hard and fast. We only care about the 25-year importation per part of it, whereas the states are up to their own, decision making to allow them or not. So it's basically, Massachusetts originally cited them saying, no, it's the Fed that's dictating this. So, and Fed, as of now, from what I'm reading correctly, said, no, we only allow this if they meet this criteria, great, but you can make the decision from there. Because originally, again, from Pete and everybody else, Mass was blaming the Fed, which, again, it kind of seems like they can't even get out of their own way with making these rules, implementing them faster than they understand them.
Yeah, and frankly, I think the safety flag from them is also illogical, given that my K truck and everyone else's K truck that has been titled and registered and is on the road in the state of Massachusetts has passed the state inspection with no issues. There's nothing regarding these vehicles that does not pass the Mass State Safety Inspection.
Right.
So there's this contradictory things coming all over the place from the Mass RMV.
Right, and they're all safer than motorcycles. Most of them have ABS, which cars before
If we
80s
cite
don't.
our buddy Artie
Crazy.
from the RMV meeting, he went into a full ABS thing. It just like again,
wooden wheels.
Yeah, wooden wheels, right?
Yeah, you can drive Model A, Model T.
It's just
no problem.
As Matt said, like the safety stuff, throw that out because it's very hypocritical. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth if that's what you're citing.
The state doesn't care about your safety. There's some other motivating factor here.
Yes. Yeah.
More on that.
Yeah, and
we know about it.
Nope, sorry, go ahead, Corey.
No, go ahead.
And the other thing I was going to say too is like I'd love to see the numbers about how many K vehicles have actually been in accidents where there have been injuries, deaths, or anything, or accidents in general, because I couldn't tell you the last time I saw a picture of a K vehicle has actually been in an accident. And I could probably tell you that given how many are on the road in Massachusetts, I've never heard of anyone actually crashing one in Mass.
There was, forgive me because I cannot remember his name, but in the actual Mass DOT or RMV broadcast that was last week, there was a gentleman, a representative of a large group of Massachusetts residents, I believe, and Massachusetts automotive enthusiasts who went up there and did cite some vehicle collision facts. And I think he referenced that there were 2 K vehicles. I don't know if his reference was specific to Mass or nationwide. But he pulled those and he said, yeah, here's the 2 that were in accidents. And by the way, nobody even went to the hospital for these because I guess for some way he found this information was made public or whatever. But that was the first time I ever heard anything cited directly.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, don't give me the safety stuff because it's very hypocritical.
And I know like purchasing a 25-year-old plus vehicle, I know what I'm getting myself into. This is a very kind of known decision, just like when I was riding my Triumph motorcycle when I still own that. And like driving any vintage vehicle that doesn't necessarily have the safety equipment that my Q7 has.
Right.
You know?
Are you any safer in a Mark I Rabbit? You know what I mean? It's just like you can't. I'm sorry, but you can't argue that.
Hey, you're an adult.
There's no
you pay taxes. You're responsible for your own safety.
Right. And that's the thing is like, again, we don't believe it is, but hey, you're going to try to sell us this safety thing. Well, no, I don't want that as a individual. It's up to me to choose what situation I put myself in. I'm not breaking any laws by doing this. If I want to go surfing with sharks, I can go surfing with sharks. I don't need you, the government, to tell me yes or no.
Yeah, I'm going for freedom.
Exactly.
The safety.
That's it. That's it.
And if you really want to get into something like there's the number of bicyclists on the road these days who are in travel lanes. My vehicle's safer than a bicycle, and they're in travel lanes every day. So, I mean, I think there's just a lot of kind of discrepancies in the reasoning behind this. And I think there's been some folks who have wanted to push and give a list of like, this is just as unsafe as this and this and this. And I don't know that that's the right way to go about it either, because frankly, I think the RMV would just look at that as an opportunity to go, oh, okay, so we'll just check off the box, go after Ks, and then go after this and go after that. Yeah. And so I think realistically, it's these were imported. Like, I think going back to the NHTSA reference, if the NHTSA didn't feel like these were roadworthy, they would not allow them to be imported with the checkbox on motor vehicle. They would be imported as off-road only, and they wouldn't be willing to allow them onto the roads. Mm-hmm. So utilizing the NHTSA's documentation actually works against them, because when I went to the registry with all my importation documents, that NHTSA document said it was a motor vehicle, not an off-road vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, it's the laws. It's the rule, which isn't even written, it's wildly like xenophobic and weird because you could go bring in a Cinquecento, like an original Fiat 500, and not even have to worry. I could bring in like a Polski Fiat, like a Maluk, and they're half the size, way more dangerous.
My example was a classic Mini.
Classic Mini. You can bring any of the stuff from any other country in the world. You bring in a Japanese K car, they ban it. It's just, it's infuriating. It's
right.
And even if you look,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
That's right. I was gonna say, if you go on Cape or Nantucket or the Vineyard a lot, you'll see a lot of those mini mokes. Those are little electric cars. Those are registered as motor vehicles or on the road with normal plates. They're not limited on anywhere they can go. They don't have sides. They don't have doors. They have fabric for a roof, and so and they're as about probably shorter than a golf cart too. So again, I'm not trying to make comparisons, but like I think there are plenty of examples.
Crazy. It doesn't make any sense. There's no logic behind it at all. It's
Right.
just, hey, it's Japanese, so it's bad. It's so weird. That's why there's something else behind it.
Yeah, that's very, very, very frustrating.
What are your plans moving forward?
So I'm going to continue to pressure my state reps. We have the advocates group on Facebook. We've compiled a list of all state reps, senators, anyone who we feel like might be good. And I don't want to take a lot of credit here. There's been so much effort done by a lot of other people outside of me. I happen to be a voice in this, but I want to give credit to a lot of those guys on the advocates group because they've put in so much effort here. And so they've compiled a list of the state reps. And I think what we really want to do is we know who we've reached out to now. We also know who we haven't reached out to. And I think we really want to make sure we keep making noise and then help them understand that this isn't the right way forward. This isn't the right way to handle things by the RMV. And really, we may not necessarily represent a large population of the state of Massachusetts, but we are an important population in the state of Massachusetts. And a lot of us are really passionate about this. And I'm concerned that like this is the first step towards other things too.
Exactly.
And I just like give an inch, take a mile. And that's really a big concern for me. So I'm going to keep voicing my concerns, keep pushing on my state reps, reach out to new state reps to ensure that they're aware and really keep the pressure on the RMV as much as we possibly can. I think we've heard some really great feedback, especially from, I believe it's Brian Murray, who's the vice chair of the transportation committee. And he's asking some really good questions. So I think we want to keep working with him and the folks at the transportation committee, but also just really let your reps know, because it may be K's and it may be JDM stuff right now, but it could be something else down the road. So even if it doesn't affect you right now, I think it'd be great to really help support this cause. There's talk of a petition to get this onto the ballot. So I think one thing we would certainly use help with is once we get that going, getting that ballot, getting that petition out there. I think its requirement is, I think, 75,000 signatures. So it's not a small amount. But I do know that we've got a fantastic community of enthusiasts in Massachusetts and obviously outside of Mass, because I know Revival's got reach well beyond that. So I think any help we can get from anyone listening to help us keep up this fight would be really, really appreciated.
We will make yard signs.
Yeah.
We will go full.
We'll go
like, 100%. Like we
save the K.
We will
just bring that baby back. I can still got stickers. I just shipped some out today.
We just a wave of just.
I'll make yard signs in the shape of little Suzuki Carry.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh, we need to get that router.
I mean, a Suzuki Carry is about the size of a yard sign.
Yeah.
So
are the guys in that group talking about that whole Chevron Deference thing that just went through the Supreme Court?
They are, and there's been some back and forth about it because being federal level, we're not sure how much it would drive a conversation at the state level, but we do think there's some things that could be taken from that to help. But I think there's more research.
Yeah, I think it can achieve more without legal stuff. I think the state reps is the way. As I said, in Rhode Island, it came out that there were like 33 or 34 Ks, and there was one guy that just kept pushed beyond where I went. And the state reps have gotten it so you can have your K. It's basically treated as a low-speed vehicle, but then you're screwed. You can't sell it. You can't transfer it. You have to sell it out of state. So that's not what you guys want to settle on, because that has screwed everyone. And I've talked to a couple of people that are trying to get them registered now, and they're just shit out of luck. So don't settle. I wish we had that kind of organization here, but there were just so little people that it really never came together. It looks like you guys got organized, which is amazing.
And we're getting some really good inputs too. I can't think of the gentleman's name right now, but he was a big part of the Texas legislation that
Nice.
changed the law down there, and so he's really been an integral part in helping us figure out what the right way forward is. There's been talk of lawyers and stuff, but I'm not sure kind of a lawsuit's the right way to go, especially given that we would be up against the state. So I think legislation, ballot initiatives, I think are really the way to go, and just keeping the pressure on, not letting it fade away into the abyss, and really letting our reps know this is important.
Right, because that's one thing. If if everybody's allowed to continue to renew their registrations and keep their vehicles going, and this is an ongoing discussion, that's great. That's a positive thing, because they're at least entertaining that. But like what happened in Rhode Island, there's a stay, and nope, can't do anything, can't re-register, can't register new ones. Then it's a problem, and I guess you got to get louder.
Yeah,
because it's just.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like, I'm fortunate in that it's not my primary vehicle, but the number of businesses that have popped up who utilize these on a daily basis to support themselves,
Right.
to really support their businesses, because they are a efficient and honestly cost-effective way to really do a lot of things that need to be done when you don't have the money to spend 40, 50, 60 to what, 100 grand on a new pickup truck at this point.
Yeah. I mean, even going the cheapest route possible. Let's mention it. A Ford Maverick, right? It's an okay vehicle, but even going that route, you're still $25,000 deep.
Even go a used truck,
right?
$10,000 for like something that's
yeah.
And a K is you get the best one for that kind of money. Jesus,
yeah,
you can get these things for like $3-4 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. And then ultimately too, like, why does the mass RMV get to dictate the value of my asset, right?
Absolutely.
So like ultimately, like, you now make my vehicle worthless if you tell me I can't title it, can't register it, can't sell it in the state. So how's that fair too? So I should, like, if you're going to do that, then you owe me money.
Yeah, they should have to buy them.
Yeah, exactly. There was nothing you did getting said vehicle. Everything you did was all on the up and up, and everybody did was all on the up and up. Nobody's right. There's no issue, and it just suddenly the only thing that's changed is their opinion.
There was no real bad eggs.
Right. Yeah. Literally nothing.
No. Like we've done nothing wrong here. Nothing.
Yeah. It just stinks of more behind the scenes than we know.
Yeah.
It's trying to
special interests.
Yeah.
Pockets being padded.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is happening here.
What about some of your other vehicles? Can you give us a heads up on what you're working on now?
Yeah.
Kind of working to get on the road?
Yeah. So the main project I have these days, I actually during around the pandemic, I kind of thinned the herd a little bit. But my main rig main project is a 1961 Land Rover Series 2 109 station wagon. So big, long 4-door. Bought it from my very good friend Ben Munzberg. In the midst of a literally every piece off resto mod, I guess you would call it. Currently, I'm putting a 1.9 ALH TDI into it in front of a NV3550 Jeep Wrangler transmission that will then adapt to the stock transfer case. I'm going to kind of be making like a bit of a beach rig. I'm not much of a purist, to be honest. So I'm doing my own thing. And so I've got a lot of parts on hand. And so I'm working on some body work right now. I've got the ALH on the stand in my garage right now with all the parts to put the head and stuff back onto that. So won't be on the road this year, but I'm anticipating it'll be out and about next year. Other than that, helping my dad, he's got a 71 Carmen Ghia convertible that we're very, very slowly working through. But otherwise, honestly, that's it. I've been trying not to spread myself too thin these days. Racing hasn't been in the picture for a bit, unfortunately, but that was a little bit of pandemic, a little bit of kind of life changes. My last race was October of 20 when I crashed our A3 at Mid-Ohio.
Oh, no.
So it's okay. It was a bit of a brake failure on the back straight at Mid-Ohio. Great video. I walked away okay. That car's been crashed 2 or 3 times since.
Mm.
Not by me though. So,
That's what counts.
Yeah.
but yeah, so my hands are in a lot of different things, but always working on something. So
It's good to hear.
Well, great to have you on. Great that you get to work with James at the Drive on this article. We might try to get some info from him at some point as well, just to kind of hear, because his piece in the article that is put out just brought a lot of very good points, and kind of cover a good summary of where the K battle currently is in Massachusetts. So, Matt, keep fighting the good fight. Actually, can you want to give the shouts to the Facebook groups one more time, just so
yeah,
everybody knows?
yeah, it's the just want to make sure I'm saying it right. It's the Massachusetts JDM Imports Advocates. There's, let's see how many members we've got. 559 members on that group right now, and a lot of really good work happening, reaching out to the state reps and really anyone who can help us. There's form letters on there. There's a lot of great information about who we've reached out to, who we haven't reached out to. So if anyone's looking for more information, please feel free to join that group and join us in this fight. I think it's an important one, not just because I think we should be able to drive Ks, but I do think it's a fight that could lead to more limitations in the future, and I think we need to put our foot down now. So
Yeah,
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Matt. I think you're completely right. This door needs to be closed now, and for the right reasons, to hopefully alleviate any more potential bullshit, in the future.
Absolutely.
So
Before you part
Awesome.
ways, I want to let everyone know you were on 6 years and 1 day ago. So July 23rd, 2018. So I think if anyone wants to hear about some of your racing adventures or kind of anything about you more, they can go back and check out that episode. And we'll make sure it's not 6 years and 1 day again before you're on again.
yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
I'd love to be on again, guys. Thanks. And
I appreciate it.
no, definitely OG over here.
Totally, man.
It's OG as it gets.
OG podcast and magazine.
Yeah, both.
true.
Yeah.
Both.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Actually, predates Chuck and I.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
It was better than.
One of my favorite pictures of the Tercel ever was from that magazine spread of from the Broke Motorsports Racing stuff. That Tercel pic from my old shop is still one of my favorite pictures ever. So
This is
That's
fun day, fun shoot, fun thing to bring together.
yeah, that was a blast.
You guys should build another one so we can do more.
I know. I've been pushing on Dougie and Max and Park, so I want to get back out. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Life gets in the way sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And 6 years went by, buddy.
I know. It does not feel like 6 years, by the way.
No, it
not
certainly
even close.
doesn't. No,
Crazy.
it literally feels like yesterday. Matt, thank you again for joining us. Everybody follow that Facebook group. And as Corey said, you can reference Matt's earlier podcast interview way back when, and find him on the group as well as at Moto Isgro on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's it. Peace out.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.